became a millionaire at 12. To expect everybody to have become a millionaire at 12 and learn money management and have a business manager at 12, to me just seems not realistic.
Right.
I started working 10, 15 years before most of my generation had their first job.
Right.
And this is like most, obviously some people different. But no, I don't hold people to those standards. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like if I wanted somebody that made as much as me, this would be a date and not an interview. Because okay. So I feel like when it comes to guys our age, every now and then you might find somebody that's out there making it. But most of the time, they're going to be, my mom and dad, they went 50-50 all my life.
Right.
So when I hear some of the stuff that people are saying, you know what I'm saying, about relationships and dating, I'm just kind of like, I don't know how that's going to work, but maybe I'm tripping.
Drink the coffee. It'll make you feel better.
So this is obviously like a 50-50 conversation, right? She's here talking about the 50-50 convo. That is very popular right now. And I think most people heard what she said right there, but they really weren't listening. And they may write this off as like, yeah, that's common sense. But the truth is, common sense isn't that common. You would think that most chicks would say, you know, I became a millionaire at 12, and so I can't put that unrealistic expectation on the men that I meet when I start dating, or on most men in general. And I don't want to limit my options that much and make finding a husband nearly impossible. You would think most chicks think this way, but they don't. They do not. Keke Palmer has had her moments, of course, where we've all on this channel looked like the Usher situation, right? And been like, yo, what are you doing? But she's also had some base takes. This is one of those base takes. A lot of these chicks, if they came up the way she did, would be looking around going, I was a millionaire at 12. I need somebody on my level. I think there's certain points that I've heard her make in the past where she does sip a little bit of coffee.
How about this? Maybe the guy that makes as much as you, more than you, you're not interested in.
Or is not interested in me.
True.
You know, it goes both ways.
Yes.
When you're basing things, I think, off of just totally financial, or totally off of good looks, or totally off of whatever.
Right.
Your list becomes smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yes.
And I also think, hey, you should have boundaries and limits. You can't, I'm too open. You know what I'm saying? You might find yourself with John Joe that live on the corner.
Right.
You know, so there has to be some leeway just as much as there has to be some twiddling it down. Right. But I don't necessarily agree with, you know, again, for everybody's lifestyle.
Right.
I don't need you to pay for everything for me. I actually prefer you to not to. I'll let you know when I would like for you to spend something.
We go half on something.
We can go half on something possibly, you know, but I feel really like there's so much more that I would be looking for to bring to the table than just what's in your pockets. I would look for you to provide things that I can't provide for myself.
I think the thing is, for a man, looks are great, education is great, body, sex, whatever the female brings to the table, woman brings to the table.
Yeah.
What about peace? Can you bring a man peace? Because at the end of the day, if you don't bring him, no matter, at some point in time, it'll get so chaotic.
I mean, I'm going to be real with you.
That's what I want
It depends on the day of the week. I don't know if I bring somebody peace all the time.
God.
You know, but I get, because who can? Come the hell on. Nobody is bringing nobody. You know, I'm being real. I'm somebody you could trust. Okay. Because sometimes I might be too much. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Like that time on the stage. Listen, she wasn't bringing peace on that stage. She wanted problems. She wanted war. And she got it. And I remember seeing that and going, hey, this is some dangerous. And then we saw the you know what come after that. I'm not here saying that's what was supposed to happen. I'm here saying, obviously, she's got, you know, issues just like we all do as human beings.
But at least I have some business to head to, you know, when I get on your nerves.
Right.
So I think, you know, I'm realistic with what I expect from people, from men and women. People going to get on your nerves. And I use my parents as an example.
Right.
You don't get to 30 plus years without getting on somebody's nerves, without disappointing somebody, without hurting somebody's feeling, without growing through something, forgiving, loving, having compassion, understanding, and arriving at the place where you could say, I really love you.
Right. Keke, when you have a disagreement, I remember the therapist told me this was like 30 years ago. She said, Shannon, are you arguing to be right? Or are you arguing for right?
I'm arguing with us against the problem. But I have argued to be right.
Come on, you know.
Yeah.
You can be right and lose a relationship, though.
Yes, you can. You can. That's how you've learned.
Yes.
That's how you've learned. I've definitely argued to be right, but then I learned that, okay, wait a minute. And I talk about this in my book too, where it's a conversation though. It's a conversation that you have with yourself, right? Where you're like, oh, wait a minute. In order to be a we, I have to really act like a we. Mm-hmm. But sometimes you found yourself in relationships where you're still acting like a me. Mm-hmm. And then you have to ask yourself, do I even want to be a we? That's a real question these days.
Absolutely.
Do I really, and not even, I won't even say these days, all the time. But I think that obviously we're in a different place financially where some, back in the day, women couldn't even stand on their own. But now that people, can more often than not equally stand on their own, you're asking the question of, do I want to consider someone else? And I 100% do believe there is autonomy in deciding to commit yourself. Mm-hmm. I was having this conversation with my homegirl. We were talking about how, like, girl, I think I actually have been quite non-committal. And let me put it like this. A lot of people see non-committal and they think about guys. They want to have a bunch of options and da-da-da-da. Okay, well, no, I'm not non-committal in the sense where I wanted to have a bunch of options, but I knew that I did. And I had no patience for anyone that didn't fit in this little tiny box that I created for them. Right. And that's when I realized for myself, oh my gosh, that is also a version of being non-committal, because you're just not trying to commit to the realization that, girl, somebody's going to get on your nerves.
Exactly.
If you just keep trading everybody out, or you keep just moving on, or you cutting yourself off, then you're never going to get to what ultimately commitment is, which is really loving and caring for somebody for being who they are and all that comes with that. And, again, I think it's a choice. It's okay to not want that. But I don't think that in order to have that, you have to lose yourself. Right. Because it's you that has decided to give yourself to that. Right. But it's a lot that goes into it.
Well, the quickest...
I want to touch on what she said there. That's a really good point. Here's the way I think about what she said right there. If you look at the way how most people date today, most people think that they're eventually going to meet somebody who they will never get to the point where they will question the relationship. What do I mean? They look past at different situations and say, I left this person because of this deal breaker, that deal breaker. And they think that there's somebody out there who they will never get to that point where they'll think to themselves, did I pick the right person? And what I believe she's saying there is you got to accept that people are flawed, and you will reach that point with anybody. It's there with friendships. It's there with family. But people already kind of put family in the category of like, that's family. Doesn't matter. We have to work through this. The same goes for a marriage, right? People usually lie when they get up there and make those vows through sickness, health, death, whatever. This idea that there's somebody out there who will never hurt you, who you'll never have a problem with, that will make you question the validity of your marriage is unrealistic. Right. And a lot of people date that way. And they eventually end up realizing, oh, wow, every person I was with and dated had a problem, a serious problem, because we're human beings and we all do, is what should be accepted. Right.
If you want to find out if you want to be a we, get into a disagreement with your partner. That's the surest and quickest way to find out if you want to be me or you want to be we.
What has been your experience with that? I'm not sure of all your, if you've been married or if you are married. I have not. So you feel like you never found nobody that you felt like you wanted to get past that argument with?
No.
Damn, that was quick.
No, it wasn't that. No, I didn't. I meant that, like, the only thing I've ever wanted to do was get my family out of the situation that we were in. Mm. And I always said if I had kids, I didn't want them to spend 1 minute in a life that I had, let alone a day. And so I was so focused on that. And sacrifice, I understood the greater the goal, the greater the sacrifice needed to achieve that goal. And so I missed out. Yeah, I think one of my biggest regrets is that everything that I've accomplished professionally, as being football or doing it now, that I really haven't had a whole lot of people to share it with.
But you're so handsome and still young and vibing. Why is it over now?
It ain't over.
I know that's right.
It ain't over. It ain't over. I just started.
But I do get what you mean. It can feel like time has passed you by.
Yeah.
It can, you know, but it hasn't.
It had.
But it does. It can feel like that.
Okay. I still got hope.
Yeah. My dad used to say something about how men can take their time. A lot of times, men can take their time. It's just the truth. It is just the truth. Of course, guys, curious to know, what do you think of this situation? Everything that was talked about. Let me check out some comments here. I know you guys want me to read comments more. This comment says, he ain't have no business giggling like that. I'm in tears. This commenter says, yeah, that's funny. Here's another person who says, she's in touch with reality. Yes, very much so in touch with reality. Again, you take one of these chicks we see a lot of the times here on the Coffee Pod, put her in this situation. A lot of them are going to say, I need a man on my level. And they seriously think that they're going to actually find that. Somebody else here added, one thing about Keke, she is so well-spoken. Yes. I've noticed that. Here's somebody else who says, she's a quick thinker and great conversationalist. Another comment here says, Unc got rizzed up. That's funny. You know, men don't typically get compliments like that, you know? And you could brighten a man's day just by complimenting him. Here's another person who says she's so emotionally intelligent. Listen, of course, guys, I'm curious to know, what do you think? Leave your comments down below. I appreciate you, as always, for checking out yet another episode of The Coffee Pod.